All right, folks, the first 22 picks of the NFL draft are in the books, and it was kind of an interesting first 20 picks. If you look at this, there wasn't as many trades as they were previously saying, but a lot of interesting things happened. Some things that really surprised me happened, and I want to go over you some of the most interesting things from the first 20 picks of the NFL draft. First, I think it's pretty easy to see who the NFL values right now. It's quarterbacks, it's people who can protect the quarterback, and it's for people who the quarterback can throw to. If you look at the first 20 picks, there were 6 quarterbacks, 6 offensive linemen, and 3 wide receivers. And the first defensive player was not selected till 15th. And I think the previous record for the first defensive player was selected was number 9. So not a lot of defensive players here in the first 20 picks. A lot of linemen, a lot of quarterbacks, and a lot of wide receivers. And we knew this was going to be a good offensive lineman draft coming in. So not a huge surprise there. But 6 quarterbacks off the board, which I think is interesting. There's a couple I've got a few thoughts on that I'll get to in a second. So I'm going to start with this. I loved what the Bears did. Caleb Williams was an obvious pick to take, but I really like what they got at wide receiver. They got DJ Moore at the wide receiver, and then they add the wide receiver from Washington, who in a lot of years could have been the first wide receiver taken. They get him as the 3rd wide receiver taken. I really like how they're setting Caleb Williams up for success. I think they got a really nice roster they're building, and I really like what the Bears did. Number 2, the Raiders. They take Brock Bowers, who I love. He was one of my favorite players in the draft, but they needed a quarterback, and they did not get one of the 6 quarterbacks that were projected in the first 2 rounds. And now Spencer Rattler is the best quarterback remaining, and I don't really like him all that much. And I think they kind of walk away here wanting a quarterback, and they did not get it. So they're really probably holding out for next year now. And in that division with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, you saw Bo Nix go. They do not have a good quarterback, and you cannot win in this league without one. And right now, the Raiders do not. But the biggest surprise tonight, the Atlanta Falcons. What the hell? That was one of the strangest picks I've seen in a long time. They just signed Kirk Cousins to 4 years, $180 million. They can get out after the 3rd year, so it's really essentially a 3-year, $85 million contract is what they really owe him. But here's why I think it's strange. I don't mind that they take a quarterback. Kirk Cousins is a little bit older. He's coming off a torn Achilles. He'll be close to 40 by the time his contract ends. So taking a quarterback is not the dumbest thing ever. But they take Michael Penix in a spot where no one else had him going. J.J. McCarthy was still on the board. Most people had him ahead of Michael Penix. Michael Penix has had some injury issues, but that's not even really the reason why I dislike it. The reason I really dislike it is because they could have traded down to get him. They could have traded back a couple spots, gotten some more stuff. They took a quarterback way ahead of where he was projected to go. And with a quarterback that you have locked up for the next 3 years, just a very strange move to me. I just did not get it at all. It's confusing, and they have a roster with Kirk Cousins where they're trying to win now, and to use that pick on a quarterback that has a lot of injury concerns, that you're not sure was a top 10 quarterback, to me was really confusing. They had the strangest draft night of any team by far. So that was a little bit strange to me. The other thing, quarterbacks 1, 2, and 3. I really like Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be excellent. Jaden Daniels, I think, is good, but he had a lot of playmakers at LSU. He has 2 wide receivers that are going to go in the first round, and he's a very small guy. Is his body going to hold up? And 3, Drake May. I love Drake May, but he is pretty raw. He is going to take a lot of work to really get him to be an elite NFL quarterback, but the Patriots needed one, and he was by far the best one at the time. So really interesting draft. I'm really excited to see what happens here over the next few picks, because there's some teams coming up that could use another wide receiver like the Chiefs. Interested to see if the 49ers are going to trade Ayuk or Deebo Samuel here before we get to their pick. So a lot of interesting things going on. Can't wait to see what happens over the next couple days, and we'll wrap it up after it's all over on Sunday.